I don't know why it did that. Yeah, it wouldn't let me go into that other live that I made, so I had to make a new one. I'm still learning. Let's see. Good morrow, everybody. I can see you're in here now. Good, good. Thank you. Sorry, if anybody's still over at that other one, can you like bring them over here and tell them to come over? Thanks, guys. I know that the Trump rally is on right now. I was watching it too. I actually have it on right now, just on mute. So if any of you are watching it and, you know, he introduces Q, so please let me know. I'll turn my sound on. But, you know, so be it. I had to, you know, most of the time if he's doing his rally when I'm doing my live, I try not to go live, but this is just the way it has to be. So we'll see how many people even show up. But thank you guys for being here so much. And let's hop into the stoof. So the first link I have, well, actually the first link I have for you is always the same. It's the Qmap.pub. We had some Q posts today. We'll go over those at the very end. And I always like to put that link because I think that's a great place to find the Q drops and go over them. The second link I have is an intro to Q video that I saw last week that is by an account called Awakening Greatly, and it is so good. It's very short. I think it's 5 minutes, to the point, very watchable, edited really well. You know, we've got a lot of different people doing different things, and there are people that are making, you know, high quality videos and stuff like that, but you know, everything's a little bit different. There are people making super high quality videos with like all the bells and whistles, but they'll be long. And sometimes people don't want to watch a 20-minute video or a 30-minute video or an hour-long video. Sometimes they want just a 5-minute little nugget to look at or share with their friends, because let's face it, most people we send videos to, they look at a 20-minute, 30-minute video and they're like, I'm not going to watch that. So I like the fact that this account is making short videos. I don't know what is going to be in store for them. If that was just a teaser to something else that they're doing. I don't know who the account is. I have no idea, but I subscribe to them because I'm excited to see more come from them. We'll see. And then the second link I have, or the third link I have below, is I did an interview this weekend with Alara of Sirius. 1 Foot in 5D is her channel. So click on that, go check out that interview. It was just a really fun conversation. She's one of those people where we just are kind of finding out we're on the same page on all kinds of things. And that's a lot of fun. You don't have to be on the same page with everybody that you talk to or everybody in this community. It's actually also kind of fun when you're not, and you get to challenge each other and you know, kind of forces you to re-examine some of the things that you believe. But it's also fun to just kind of jive with somebody that's had similar experiences and, you know, sees things the way that you do. So check that out. She's also really funny and just like just a cool girl. Tulsi Gabbard is suing Hillary Clinton for $50 million over the claims of, you know, the claims that Hillary Clinton made that she was a Russian asset. So Democratic presidential candidate Representative Tulsi Gabbard filed a defamation lawsuit Wednesday against Hillary Clinton seeking $50 million in damages, claiming the former Democratic presidential nominee carelessly and recklessly impugned her reputation when she suggested in October that one of the 2020 Democratic candidates is, quote, the favorite of the Russians. I thought this part was interesting. The lawsuit, filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, we've got a few things going on in the Southern District of New York, says it aims to hold Clinton and other political elites accountable for distorting the truth in the middle of a critical presidential election. I do wonder if this will possibly open the gate to other things, and we do know that one of the common tactics, especially if you're one of those people like me who's on Twitter, you get accused of being a Russian bot no matter what you say or do. So this might put the kibosh on that a little bit. I would like to see it, but just another kind of example of them eating each other, which is also fun. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos' phone was reportedly hacked by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, according to forensic investigation. I saw what are they called? The Babylon Bee. They are a really funny satire site. They did, they had some post the other day that was like, Bin Salman reaches out to Jeff Bezos asking him the street he grew up on and the name of his first pet or whatever. I laughed. But this is interesting because, okay, it's actually kind of funny. I wasn't going to read this, but I want to read you the story because there are some funny aspects to it. So basically, Jeff Bezos received an unexpected text message over WhatsApp from Saudi Arabian leader Mohammed bin Salman. The two had exchanged numbers several months prior in April at a small dinner in Los Angeles, but weren't in regular contact. Bezos had previously received only a video file from the Crown Prince in May that reportedly extolled Saudi Arabia's economy. The November text had an attachment as well, an image of a woman who looked like Lauren Sanchez, with whom Bezos had been having an unreported affair. So he was like trolling him, or whoever was breaking into his phone was trolling him with this picture of the woman that he was having an affair with, or someone that looked like her. The message appears to have been a taunt. America Media Inc. publisher of the National Enquirer would several months later make the details of the affair public, but it's the initial contact in May that has set off another firestorm with MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. At the center, that video file was likely loaded with malware, investigators now say. The Crown Prince's own account had been used to hack Bezos's phone. Remember, he's one of the richest or the richest people in the world, right? So on top of that, we have reports now that Ghislaine Maxwell's personal emails were also hacked. And this kind of came out with the defamation case with Virginia Giuffre. And, you know, it was one of the emails that kind of was slipped in there was something that was an email that had been hacked. And, you know, there's speculation that her emails could be sold or leaked to the public and potentially reveal details, you know, relating to Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew. So we will keep our eyes on that. All these people getting hacked. I just have to wonder what is the real story there because, scientists might have accidentally cured cancer. This is interesting because what did Trump just say? What are the odds that right after Trump makes the announcement that we're going to be seeing things that we wouldn't possibly believe or that we wouldn't believe were possible? And now, and a lot of us were speculating, you know, release the cures was going to be one of them. So new treatment for killing cancer cells may have accidentally been discovered by a group of British scientists, according to reports. So I wonder, this is obviously not coming from the United States, but I wonder if there are certain factions that actually have had these cures and were sitting on them for a while, now maybe there's a struggle or a war to release them first, or they're kind of, you know, all watching each other, like playing each other, you know, calling each other's bluff, like, are you going to release them? Are you going to release them? So I don't know, but Cardiff University's research team found a T cell that attaches itself to human cancers and kills them while ignoring healthy cells. Although it's in its early stages of development, the treatment successfully destroys bone, lung, breast, colon, prostate, and other cancers. Interestingly enough, I've linked a video to this before. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because they don't like it. But MMS is actually, according to some testimonies that you can find online, it basically does the same thing. It attacks the disease cells while leaving healthy cells alone. So it's hard to find information on it. You kind of have to dig. I bought some and I just have it sitting in my cabinet. I'm like, whatever, might as well. But essentially, I think what the story behind that was, is it was their drops that they would sell to campers, whatever, to make potable water. And so whatever it is obviously safe to ingest because that's how they sell it. They're selling it to ingest that way. But I don't know the dosages or anything like that. But something interesting to look into if you are so inclined. Technical glitch results in hundreds of non-U.S. citizens accidentally being registered voters as voters in Illinois. So we just, yeah. Illinois Secretary of State Jesse White sent a letter this week saying that a programming error led to more than 500 non-U.S. citizens accidentally being registered as voters. The glitch was fixed Tuesday, but state lawmakers and election authorities are just beginning to raise concerns over the integrity of some state elections. Yes. The University of, a University of Minnesota student has been arrested in China and sentenced to 6 months in prison for tweets he posted while he was in the United States. So some of the tweets contained images that deemed to be unflattering portrayals of a national leader. I think what he had were, I've seen these memes of President Xi Jinping looking like Winnie the Pooh or dressed like Winnie the Pooh. They're like kind of melded together where it looks alike. And it looks like he also had some other kind of animated depictions of President Xi. So yeah, that's quite an affront on free speech, which we obviously know they do not have in China, and it's pretty scary. This was a weird one. Oh, I see some comments about MMS. Yeah, it wasn't just with cancer. There are people online you can find that are giving testimonials that they were able to cure staph infections, MRSA, what else do they say? Malaria, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you think of it in terms of, well, whatever, I'm like, I've given you enough. You guys can go. You guys are all smart cookies. Isabel dos Santos, Africa's richest woman and British educated daughter of Angola's former leader, is charged with money laundering and embezzling during her 18-month stint as chair of the state's oil firm, Senegal. So the indictment comes only days after the Luanda Leaks investigation. The Luanda Leaks investigation was basically led by the Internal Consortium for Investigative Journalists, and they collaborated with more than 120 journalists and 20 countries around the world, and they were going through over 700,000 leaked emails from of contracts and other documents. And they were looking into basically the empire of this woman, Isabel dos Santos. And they revealed that this woman and her husband, Sindika Dokolo, siphoned public funds from Angola to tax havens abroad. But the pair didn't act alone. The leaks, which compromised over 700,000 confidential financial and business records, also uncovered a sprawling network of notable Western bankers, lawyers, accountants, and consultants, including PwC and Boston Consulting Group, whose services helped Dos Santos to amass and conceal her fortune, now estimated by Forbes at $2.1 billion, with a B. So now there is a national... or there could be a national arrest warrant issued if she does not turn up for trial. Thank you, Corinne. Thank you so much. Angolan prosecutors launched a bid to have the billionaires and other suspects return home for questioning. Also, one of the 5 named suspects, Nuno Ribeiro de Cunha, a Portuguese banker identified in the Luanda Leaks, has been found dead in Lisbon. So this sounds like a very interesting kind of pocket of corruption, which might have tentacles that run deep, as they all do. I have put a link below to a thread of Q proofs that was cool that I thought. It is by no means an exhaustive list of Q proofs. We have many, 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 many Q proofs, but I thought this one was pretty good. So if you're interested in that, go take a look. I have a video below of, okay, so remember last week we talked about how the Puerto Rican government was hiding aid that had been given to them by FEMA from their citizens after Hurricane, what was it? I forgot the name of the hurricane, but they had been sitting on it since 2017 or 2018. And it was just sitting there in warehouses. Not one warehouse, but multiple warehouses full of this aid. So I have a video below of the people of Puerto Rico literally carrying a guillotine through the streets to the governor's mansion. These people have had it. And we can now officially add Puerto Rico to the list of places on our planet where the people are rising up against their corrupt government. I don't think it was a real guillotine. I think it was, you know, purely theatrical, but still, you know, whoa. Joe Rogan says he's gonna probably vote for Bernie, which had people blowing their lid a little bit. Joe Rogan is an interesting figure to me. I have a lot of friends that watch him, a lot of smart friends who I would consider, you know, they get it, they get it, but he is also almost kind of sneakily, I am of the impression that he is not working for the greater good, because I think he says, he contradicts things, he doesn't believe in certain things that a person with his kind of paying so much attention and with as many eyes on him as possible and with as many people that he gets to speak to face, I can't understand why he doesn't get some of these things. And I've always been kind of suspicious of him. Obviously, we know from getting the greater picture the kind of the role that President Trump plays. So the fact that he's coming and saying that he's gonna vote for Bernie is also very suspect. But again, it could be one of those situations where, who knows, but people were losing their mind. And so in terms of the left eating their own, or eating, just gobbling up all people, just, it is this black hole that just consumes everything around it, for the most part. I don't want to say the left, because you guys know what I mean. But they made a compilation. Somebody literally had to sit there and watch hours upon hours of Joe Rogan footage to put together a compilation of every time he used the N-word. And it was just really pathetic. Stephen, thank you so much. And there's no context. You don't have any idea what the context of the sentence that he's saying is, but just the fact that he used that naughty word, we are gonna, you know, we're gonna crucify him. So they're scary. Cindy McCain admits the unthinkable about Epstein. Quote, "We all knew what he was doing." This was really interesting. Cindy McCain recently spoke at a Florida International, or at the Florida International University, about the scourge of human trafficking. And so it was kind of a Q&A that was going on with the audience. And a guy named Sebastian stood up and asked, "I'm going to shoot straight. There's a perception among young people that there's an untouchable ring of governmental and economic leads in this country that not only benefit but actively participate in sex trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein was an example. Robert Kraft was arrested not far from here on trafficking charges. So in terms of this grassroots movement to push combat against this issue, these power players, are these power players a priority for us right now? Can we even touch them, or is this a pipe dream that we need to address in the future somehow?" So this was Cindy McCain's answer. She said, "You know, it's like everything. It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one who was, no legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him for whatever reason. They were afraid of him. And all of a sudden, someone said, BS, we're not afraid of you anymore. And what you're doing is not only illegal or wrong, it's illegal. And you know all those things. It's like a house of cards now. It's going to start tumbling, believe me. And these guys, if they don't leave the country, number one, they're going to get caught. And not only will they get caught, but they're going to be made an example of." I wonder if she would know that firsthand. But very interesting comments on her part, and also good to see that kind of a question getting asked out in the open like that and getting some press. The warden that was in charge when Jeffrey Epstein ended his life in jail is being moved to a leadership position in another federal correctional agency or facility, putting him back in the field with inmates despite an ongoing investigation into the financier's death. It's called living the American dream, guys. There are no repercussions, no investigations per se, not real ones. Let's just all go about our business, no big deal. Covington, so we remember the Covington Catholic students. That was Nick Sandeman, was from, went to that school. And we all remember what happened with him. So there was a head-on crash involving a charter bus carrying the Covington Catholic students. There was one person dead and several injured. According to witnesses, a southbound car somehow entered the northbound lanes of the highway, striking the charter bus head on. Interestingly enough, Trump's impeachment defense attorney, Pat, how do you say this, Cipollone, attended Covington Catholic High. So, weird. I also, this was kind of cool. There was a thread on the F9 algorithm that I came across by a guy who says that he used to be involved with the development of military software and electronics for the purpose of localizing smartphones in a specific area. I think that what we call that triangulation. So he has a whole thread on Twitter that I came across that he explains it really, really well. And Q has brought this up before. You can actually go on to Qmap.pub and do a search for F9, and you will bring up the post. We were also, last week or the week before, we were talking about that neo-Nazi terror group called the Base, which, remember I said Al-Qaeda means the base in English. They've now just found out that the leader of that organization was a federal agent. Color me surprised. So The Guardian has learned the true identity of the leader and founder of the US-based neo-Nazi terror network, the Base, which was recently the target of raids by the FBI after an investigation into domestic terrorism uncovered their plans to start a race war. Remember, they were using this group as an excuse to kind of lock down the Virginia rally, and they were declaring it a state of emergency, et cetera, et cetera. Members of the group stand accused of federal hate crimes, murder plots, and firearms offenses, and have harbored international fugitives in recent months. The Base's leader previously operated under the aliases Norman Spear and Roman Wolf. Members of the network do not know his true identity due to the group's culture of internal secrecy. But The Guardian can reveal that Norman Spear is in fact a US-born Ronaldo Nazaro, 46, who has a long history of advertising his services as an intelligence, military, and security contractor. He is claimed under his alias to have served in Russia and Afghanistan. So the plot thickens there. I put an interesting link to a video, words escape me. Thank you, Robin, so much. Thank you very much. Of some kind of phenomenon in the sky. I saw people commenting on the Twitter saying that there were explanations for it, and I didn't get them, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless. It's kind of these big circles that are kind of around the sun, and then a giant circle around that, and then some guy posted a link to like math, and then my head fell out my ear, and I was like, what is this? So I'm like, I'll just put the link in there. You guys can check it out for yourselves, but it's cool. It's like interesting when you've been looking at the sky your entire life, and then suddenly you start seeing things that you've never seen before or heard of before. So I like to keep an eye on those things. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is being sued for $1 billion over rape murder of an elderly woman by an illegal immigrant. 21-year-old Riaz Khan, an illegal alien, attacked, raped, and murdered Maria Fuentes when she was walking home on Monday, the 6th of January. The suit alleges that Bill de Blasio was intentionally non-compliant with the federal immigration detainer placed on Riaz Khan in November of 2019 from a previous arrest for assault and weapons charges. De Blasio has been exceptionally vocal supporter of immigration sanctuary status and has prohibited New York City police bureaus from actively working with immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, agents when an illegal alien is jailed. And when that attitude and mission is combined with the recent bail reform, remember they're just letting all these people go now because they'll certainly come back for their court dates. Crime is truly rampant on the streets of the 5 boroughs. I also put a link to something that happened, I think, yesterday, where a pedestrian got run over by a car and she was trapped underneath the car, and you can see a bunch of toxic masculinity males run and lift up the car and save her and rescue her from underneath that. So it was it was kind of a feel-good moment just watching human beings come together like that. Nobody stops to, you know, figure out what they hate each other for. They just work together to save another person. I also put a link to John Bolton basically talking about explaining and promoting geoengineering, or stratospheric aerosol injections. So in the name of fighting climate change. So anybody that tells you that that stuff isn't real, now you have a link that shows somebody explaining it. And it was also funded by Bill Gates, don't forget. Something that happened kind of just a little while ago, I was kind of keeping an eye on it, but not much, was an earthquake that happened off the coast of Cuba, 7.7 earthquake, which is a massive earthquake. I've been in a 6.4 and it rocked my world. I mean, no pun intended. It was incredibly violent. Luckily, this was happening in the water, so it wouldn't have been as bad on land, but now of course there is as far as I checked last time, it was a tsunami, not the tsunami warning, but the tsunami whatever it is, the level under that. So the warning is obviously the more important one, and that can change. So my information is a little bit old, and I know that it was being felt as far away as Miami, they were saying, but okay, it was very weird because when this earthquake happened, I was actually on the Edge of Wonder. They had a premiere of one of their videos today, and I was chatting in there. And as I was chatting, I felt like there was an earthquake. My house shook. And I've been in a lot of earthquakes before. I was like, that felt exactly, it's not just a feeling, it's a certain sound with earthquakes. And anybody that's been in a big earthquake can tell you, they know what I mean. And a couple minutes later, somebody posted in the chat saying, wow, 7.7 earthquake. And I commented to them, they didn't respond to me, but I was like, oh my gosh, where? I think I felt it. And it happened to be at the same time that this earthquake was. Now, obviously, Cuba is a very, very, very far away from where I live in Southwest United States. But the what's it called? The fault line that it was on, that it sat directly on, actually runs perpendicular and butts up to the San Andreas Fault, which, you know, is very famous. So I'm wondering if it is possible that I felt something. I'm also like very stagnant. Like that's how stagnant I am, that I'm probably a more sensitive receptor for earthquakes and those things than all of those sensitive instruments that they have. I don't know, or maybe a giant picked up my house again. I have no idea. Oh, speaking of giants, yeah, okay, so this is just a very well, it was a synchronicity, and I know you guys, a lot of you guys are really interested in synchronicities. This one was really weird for me. So a few weeks back, if you guys will remember, I was watching the thing with Corey Good and David Wilcock, and we were talking about how they were talking about the stasis beings that were giants that, like, basically they found in the mountains. Maya, thank you so much. Merging timelines. Why is the sky looking different? Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe. Interesting. And thank you so much. So we were talking about the stasis beings, and I think I even told you guys that when I was little, I would, when I was driving in the car, my middle school was kind of like, it was like a half an hour away from me, and I had to take the freeway to get there. And there were just certain mountains and hills that kind of surrounded my middle school that when I was young, I used to look at and think to myself that they were giants sleeping in, like, under the mountains or whatever. Something about them, you know, a lot of the mountains and terrain in Southern California is very rocky. These hills were very smooth and almost did just look kind of cartoony. So anyway, my childhood self picked up on that and was just like, oh, those are interesting. So is Rob in the chat? I haven't even been paying attention to the chat because he will be my, he will corroborate my story. I swear I'm not lying. So after I was talking about that, I was like, yeah, I was talking to Rob and I was telling him about a little bit more about those mountains. And I was like, God, I'm gonna go look at them on Google Earth or something like that. So I went on Google Earth and was just looking at these mountains, and I sent him a link, and I was showing these mountains to him, this one particular mountain specifically, and I was like, oh, are you picking up anything from it? So anyway, that mountain was exactly like, we were literally like zooming in and taking pictures and sending them back and forth, like, oh, there's kind of weird, this weird thing over here on this particular mountain. And that is where Kobe Bryant crashed, on that exact hill. And I know for a fact because it is across the street, directly across the street from my middle school, where the helicopter crashed. So that was a really very strange synchronicity that I thought I would share with you guys. I know that obviously there's a lot of information going around about the Kobe Bryant stuff, and I don't really have a whole lot to say about that other than it's sad, and because there were children involved. And if I get anything that's like super compelling, there are certain things that I'm looking into with that I will probably eventually end up sharing with you guys, but for right now I just kind of want to leave it at that. Yes, I did grow up in Calabasas. And yeah, it was very weird. I was like, and I sent it to Rob, I was like, because I looked up when I was seeing the news for Kobe Bryant, I was like, the pictures they were showed him behind this municipal water, whatever, the crash site. And I obviously knew that because it was across the street from my middle school. I recognized it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we were literally just taking Google Earth not too long ago and examining this very hill. So, Rob was here. Okay, well, someday he'll come and tell you that I'm not lying, because I swear I'm not. Very weird. Doesn't mean anything. It just was a very strange. So I came across the Gucci Fall 2020 menswear collection. I don't know if you guys have seen my tweet for this, but I tweeted out a thread of just some of them that I found, and it is getting an annoying amount of attention. And I don't know if you guys can like look at me and tell, but talking about fashion is literally the last thing I'm interested in. But the reason that this was interesting to me, the reason why I shared it, is because these clothes are just so demeaning. The models look emaciated and ill, mentally and physically ill. And you know, we discuss a lot the agenda, these hidden agendas of these large evil corporations. Never mind the fact that it's already a known thing that fashion is an industry that supports child and slave labor, human trafficking. Excuse me, I'm drinking Sprite. So, you know, it's funny to see kind of all of these social justice warriors jump on my, first of all, I posted it without any commentary other than, no, this, like, really, I'm not kidding. This is what their collection is for fall of 2020. Kelly Ann, thank you so much. I gotta wait for this to hop up here so I can read it. Thank you so much for spreading love and prayers for me the other night. I appreciated all of your hard work so much. You are the best. Thank you so much, Kelly Ann. I hope you're doing well. Michael, thank you. Thank you for everything you do. I'd love to know if you know anything about the Central Park 5 and Trump. That sounds familiar, but I don't, not offhand. What was I saying? Oh, so this fashion show. The clothes are like ill-fitting, dirty. It's not women's clothes. Like, I get androgyny. I've seen androgyny my entire life. I know that's a part of fashion. It is not that. These are not women's clothes. They are baby clothes. And there's a t-shirt that says impotent on it. And it's just like, if you try to debase a human being, if you tried to embarrass them or make them dress in a fashion that was going to kind of humiliate them or dehumanize them, this is exactly what you would see. And that's what made me angry about it, especially knowing what we do about this industry now and how some of these fashion shows are actually serve as like a menu to these elite sickos, and that some of these models are trafficked. So it's almost like a very in-your-face thing. But I had a lot of people like, it's called fashion, sweetie, look it up. Like, and it's like, God, I don't want to talk about fashion. It is not that. I don't care that there's a guy in a skirt. I care that it is a complete affront on human beings, for one, but also, you know, men. Of course, we're seeing this attack on men, and you've got these social justice warriors sitting up and clapping like seals over these people pushing these men out there in outfits that are completely demeaning. And like, oh, stunning and brave. I actually asked somebody today, I was like, if they paraded him out there in diapers, would that also be stunning and brave? Like, what does it take? And it just goes to show you that people are so brainwashed into thinking, you know, oh, it's just fashion, it's art. Well, I have news for you. Fashion and modern art in particular are used for exactly this reason. Well, for lots of reasons. Money trafficking or money laundering and swaying public opinion. They're swaying popular culture, right? With these statements, okay? So they're not just, you know, innate statements. They are actually driving culture. Like, you are getting people to go out there if you try to make this popular. And, you know, there's something to be said about dignity and operating with dignity. I don't care what anybody chooses to wear, as long as they do it with dignity and they feel a pride in themselves and they feel, you know, they get their own worth and they get the worth of the human beings around them. That's all I care about. I don't care if you want to dress like Barney the Purple Dinosaur, but there are things that you can put on a human being that that are embarrassing. No matter where the barrier lies, and you always see, even if we go to, like, let's say we're going to pretend that this wasn't a plan, this wasn't an agenda, this is just what's happened. It's very clear to see, looking back on fashion, these boundaries and these barriers that they push through, and what it's done to our society, and men in general, women in general. So interesting, yeah. It was just bad, and it made me, like, none of those models looked happy or well, and yeah, I just kind of felt like it was just right there in our faces what they've done to us. It was it was a representation of how they laugh at us, how they manipulate us, they get us to act and debase ourselves, and they sit back and they laugh at us. And then the fact that these were little girls, or almost like babies' clothes, just was the icing on the cake to me. That was it. It was just, that's gross. We know what they do with kids. I don't really, China and the coronavirus, again, is there's a lot of stuff unfolding with it, and I'm gonna wait, but to kind of, you know, give my 2 cents on that. But I did put a lot of links down below to the interesting parts that I came across. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing about all of this, and depending on who you ask, it's either a major scary end of the world problem, the zombie apocalypse is upon us, or it's another diversion tactic. And yes, it's, you know, it's not a good thing for sure, but it's you know, it's not going to be as bad as they want us to think it is. So I have a bunch of links down below for that, and that's that for my notes and all my links, guys. Rob, you are here. I just told the story about me telling you about the mountain and us going on Google Earth and looking at the mountain, and then that's where Kobe Bryant crashed. So if you could please just let everybody know that I'm not a liar, that'd be good. Trump tweeted that it will be okay. I say it's a distraction. I saw today Trump tweeted something that was really anti-Fox News, which I thought was interesting. He's finally kind of going after them. And it's cool to see that happen. We have to remember that Fox News is owned by Disney. And even though there are good people on Fox News and who work at Fox News, they are, they're the swamp, you know, they're a part of this elite, you know what I'm saying. Okay, thank you. Rob corroborated my story. Oh, rally's over. How was it? Did he introduce Q? Disney didn't buy the news part of Fox. That's interesting. Good to know. But they're still affiliated, and I still don't exactly trust major media, because I don't believe they could have gotten to where they are without somebody. They bought all the other parts, such as 20th Century Fox, or 20th Century. Good to know. Fear tactics from a failing cabal and central bank. Yeah, okay, so I want to go over the Q drops. That's right. You made me think of that. Why did you make me think of that? Oh, because one of the Q drops is the video that Q has linked to multiple times, and every time Q links to it, I watch it, and it's the one of Trump giving the speech, and every time I watch it, I get something new out of it that kind of blows my mind. So I really suggest that you watch that. Let me bring up Qmap. Obsessed with the time travel topic. I love that topic too. One American News is good. Yes, it is. Okay, so back over to this. First of all, one of the things, well, I guess I should just go in order. We had a Q proof of, was that today? Yeah. We had a Q proof of Q pointing to a post that they made on, actually a couple posts. One was on January 23rd of this year, saying, congratulations, UK patriots, blah, 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 you know, independence is a beautiful thing, globalism dead, question mark. And then there was another post from January 31st, 2018. So think about that. January 31st, 2018 is 2 years to the day that Brexit will take what's the word I'm saying? That Brexit will go into action. So 2 years ago to the date, and they posted Freedom Day, freedom_Q. So cool. Important. Q is pointing us to a Twitter or a tweet, which has a, it has a video of Jonathan Ratcliffe talking about the Russia probe evidence and this 18th transcript that is, that Shift is hiding, that there have been 17 that have come out so far, but this 18th is being hidden, and this 18th is being hidden because it is, you know, damning to Adam Schiff. If it wasn't damning to Adam Schiff and their side, then they would have released it if it would have made Trump look bad. So I recommend you go and look at that. Then we have, what is this? Witch hunt continues. Having fun yet? Oh, it's a zero delta. Oh, wow. I didn't even see this one. So when Q posted that important with the link to the Ratcliffe video, it was a zero delta with a President Trump tweet where he says, the witch hunt continues. Future proofs past. Did you catch the tweet I tagged you in about post 497 after the Iran attacks? That tripped me out. I don't remember right now. I probably did, but not off the top of my head. So an Anon says, I'll have fun. Okay, Q had said, having fun yet. Then Anon obviously responded saying, I'll have fun when things start happening in our favor. So Q says, play a game of where are they now? Think CEOs, think FBI, think DOJ, think White House, think state, CIA, think Intel. And then think judge install, think SC install, think DOJ install, FBI, CIA, PM UK install. So think. They're telling us, I believe, things are happening. You have to look to see it because there isn't going to be a flashing headline on your nightly news. It's like, newsflash, guys, things are happening. It's going on right now as we speak. But if you look hard enough and you are paying attention and you don't let the media get into your mind about which side is winning or losing, you will actually see that a lot is getting done. Let's see, this next one. You didn't think we highlighted Epstein for no reason, did you? Those who were once protected are no longer. Timing is everything. Hunters become prey. This reminds me of the quote I just read to you that Cindy McCain said. She said, what did she say? It was some like out of the blue, or like someone flipped a switch and suddenly all of these people that were afraid to go after, even though we all knew that this was happening, nobody ever did anything about it because for some reason these people were afraid to do it. And then all of a sudden now somebody flipped a switch and is like going after them. Well, we know what switch was flipped, and he lives in the White House. So interesting. Then we have, this I actually saw Enoch posted it first, and I don't know, I think he came up with it. I saw he was tweeting this a while ago. And then Q posted this. It is a Wikipedia link to the Durham boat, which is the boat that was used to cross the Delaware by Washington. And it said, Anons found the subtle hint dropped in the beginning. Think Durham start, think Q start. Remember, Durham was appointed the day that Q started posting on 4chan. You have more than you know, Q. Next one. Was the link to Enoch's tweet about where he was like, guys, take a look at this. The boats were called Durham. Do you believe in coincidences? Where is the rally held tonight? The rally was held tonight in New Jersey, right? Which is just across the Delaware, from Delaware, just across the river. I mean, so that's interesting. Misspellings in Q posts and POTUS tweets are intentional and important. So Q is pointing us and towards this tweet where somebody points out that in this one tweet, or I'm sorry, this one Q post, Q asks a question, was the election supposed to be rigged? But they leave the D off of supposed. And at the very bottom, it says, who is helping POTUS? So somebody has gone and drawn an arrow. Who is helping POTUS? The missing D. Who's D? Durham. And so Q is saying confirmed. When there is a spelling error like that made by Q or made by Trump and they don't correct it, it was intentional. And so it's probably a hint for us to look at. Because Q has made spelling errors and grammatical errors before that they come back and correct so that we don't all lose our minds over nothing. And then Q pointing towards that again, and then the video, which I already went over. So that was cool. I feel like I'm missing one, but maybe not. But always a fun day when Q is posting, talking to us, and hemisphere left of the arc, Italy, you'll find me at the, okay. I like the Durham proof with the Washington and the boats and the D missing from suppose. Gives me faith Durham will come through with something big. We'll see. I definitely think he is not just sitting there with his hands in his pockets. He, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, we're waiting for this report. Well, he's not going to give a report. I think he's just going to start unsealing indictments. These people have been very busy behind the scenes. And one thing that you can say about this operation is that there aren't any leaks. That is they're running a tight ship there. There haven't been any leaks as to what has been going on. And we do see that these indictments are getting racked up. I don't know what that means, but I do believe that it's something because it is unprecedented with the amount of indictments that we have, or sealed cases. Q posted today, the best is yet to come. Then Trump said very clearly, the best is yet to come at the beginning of his rally tonight. I missed that. That's awesome. Did I read that just now? I feel like I was missing one. Nope, I didn't. I read that. That was the one where he's saying, think CEOs, think FBI. At the very end of that, he says, the best is yet to come. So that's really cool. Durham and Son. Is Durham's son the stealth bomber? D for D-class. Do we have trolls? Oh God, I haven't had Sprite in so long. It's real thick. It's real sugary. Woo! Crack those seals. We're ready. Absolutely. I sure am. I really wonder what it's gonna be like. On one hand, I'm almost like, not that I'm scared. I feel very prepared, but you know, change is always scary, even super positive ones. So yeah. Kate doing Sprite product placement. It's working. No, don't drink Sprite. It is disgusting. I do not recommend it by any means. I used to drink it all the time too. Now it's like, ugh. Trump rally is very close to Washington's crossing. Oh, interesting. Cool. Jordan checked the coronavirus out and found that a patent had been taken out on it recently. Yeah, I've got links to stuff about that below. Do the sealed indictments reference the Book of Revelation? Asking for a friend. I have no idea. What about LeBron passing up Kobe for the all-time scoring the day after Kobe crashes? Actually, it was the night before Kobe crashed, right? And he actually gave a very kind of icky interview when that happened. It was almost like he was giving a eulogy, and that was the night before Kobe crashed. So strange. And I think the BBC was running, they were talking about Kobe, but they were running clips of LeBron. Iran is the next target marker, Thursday, March 15th, 2018. Iran next, retweet days after, retweet Kenya, no coincidences. That's too much for my brain right now. That probably looks a lot better when you don't have to put it in a chat. Jeff, thank you so much. Betcha Durham's investigators are former military intelligence. That's why they can keep their mouths shut. Amen. I bet you're right. Tea is my drink. Yeah, tea is my drink too. I like Earl Grey. I drink a lot of Earl Grey. Anthony Nelson, LeBron passed Kobe's record the night before. Yeah, that's what I thought. It is sad. It's especially sad because there were kids. Kobe's business partner was Epstein's business partner. Yeah, they sat on the board for, they both sat on the board for, the name escapes me now. Actually, if you guys are on Instagram, Robot Interiors made a really great post with that stuff. It was at least 2 posts back the last time I checked her account. And the very last slide of it is a video of Kobe Bryant, and he's talking to a puppet. It almost looks like something out of Sesame Street, where he's like explaining something to this puppet, but you can tell the audience is meant for children. And he's explaining like light and dark forces and this light energy, which is like makes you feel good and is positive and loving. And then this hateful dark energy. And he's talking about how a lot of people will say that this dark energy makes them feel bad and that, you know, this is a bad energy. But really, if you learn how to harness that energy, it will give you lots of power and bring out the inner beast inside of you. It's really weird. Go check that out. Yeah, Robot Interiors is great. I want to interview her again, but I need to like interview 16 people. I can't just interview her for my channel. So far, she is the only person I have interviewed. Oh, speaking of interviews, tomorrow, Muse Cage. Thank you. Tomorrow I will be on Patriot Soapbox at, I forgot what time. Something like 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific. I will tweet about it. I'll post about it on my Twitter if you guys want to watch it. And I'll give a link, I guess. So that's exciting. It wasn't his helicopter, it was a charter, and it was supposed to have a black box in it, and supposedly the route was changed mid-flight. It actually, didn't it also take off from the same airport that in Newport, that the airport that crashed that had the girl from the Standard on it? I saw that. Earl Grey reminds me of Captain Picard from Star Trek. Bummer the Marxist media ruined his character with their new soulless show. I actually have never seen a single episode of Star Trek. I wonder if I would like it, but where does one begin with a show like that that's been running since the dawn of time? Apparently black and green tea soak up fluoride and bad for you if you don't want fluoride in your body. God bless you all. Interesting. Well, spit hot sulfuric acid, blacker than LA. I need to learn to not read things out loud before they process through my brain. I think that's all I have got for you guys tonight. Beep boop. But I will be back on Tuesday. I'll post the link tomorrow to the Patriot Soapbox. And in case you guys want to watch that, go watch my talk with Alara of Sirius on her channel, Alara of Sirius, 1 Foot in 5D. The link is below. And you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week.